BooBaes. BooBaes.
Hello
And hi
and welcome
to
BooBaes.
BooBaes.
That's right. We're your host. I'm Caitlin,
And I'm Joshua.
and we are here to talk to you about some iconic and
Referential spooky ghosts.
spoopy.
Yes.
Ooh.
We are obviously covering Poltergeist.
Poltergeist, 1982.
Yes.
Directed by.
Tobe Hooper.
That's right.
And written by Steven Spielberg, Michael Grais, and Mark Victor. Yeah.
Spielberg, huge name.
Huge
Hooper,
names. All of these.
Huge name.
All of them. Kind of some, well, especially Hooper.
Yeah.
Kind of like a father of horror.
Texas.
All of that.
Chainsaw.
And obviously Steven Spielberg, because it's fucking Steven Spielberg.
Spielberg
man,
for reals is a household name.
Yeah, man has a
Everyone knows Spielberg.
quite the
Horror and
what's
non-horror.
the name? What's that word I'm looking for? I always do this to myself, but yeah.
He's
He
a
has
genius.
quite the
Filmography.
filmography, all of it.
Discography.
No, that's different.
Yeah,
But
it is.
he has a lot of stuff preceding him, like is or prolific. There you go.
Got a lot under his belt.
Exactly, and
Means he has a big. I'm just kidding.
bank account. And so we're focusing this film on a suburban family whose home is invaded by poltergeists,
Yes.
which is, i.e., the ghost, which is. Let me restart. There's a difference. There's so much because you have to know what a poltergeist as
That's true.
difference, from a haunting, which we
Yes.
do learn in this movie later on.
That's true. They do a good job of explaining that to you. Poltergeists typically tend to deal with more moving actual objects. It's more of
Yeah.
an energy,
Mhm.
and it is more
Short term.
short term typically.
Yeah.
And then it's more, that's what they say in the movie anyways,
Mhm,
short term. And it's more so tied to an area, a location, rather than an item.
Yes.
When hauntings, on the other hand, can take years. And then they also are typically more tied to an item. Like you get a haunted car, like Christine.
Yeah.
Or you get, a haunted
Something doll.
dresser, haunted doll.
Annabelle.
That's
Yes.
right. I was watching the Cursed Films documentary on Shudder about Poltergeist. I'd seen it before, but I went back and watched it last night to kind of refresh my memory. And
What did they say?
There's this one guy that they interview, and he collects like horror memorabilia, and he says, I spent a good amount of money on it. And I was like, this fool has like 5 Michael Myers masks that were in screen.
Yeah.
Like on the screen.
Dude must be rolling in dough.
And he has the clown from Poltergeist.
Or he's just that dedicated that he might be
Probably
broke and that's all he has.
And that's all he has. Yeah. I'm going to maybe lean more towards that. I have no clue. But that's what I would be if I was in that situation. But I'm sure if he sells any of them, he's probably set.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would want, as most people who collect things, they don't collect them to sell.
They collect them to cherish them and
Exactly, like me and my dolls.
look at them, hold them,
But he
appreciate
has
them.
the clown, and
Oh, that's cool.
terrifying.
Yeah, pretty
I even have clowns
scary
myself,
clown.
and not a fan of this clown.
Especially after
Hard
it almost
pass.
eats the or carries the boy into under the bed.
Yeah, terrifying. Speaking of, in that moment, that's one of the reasons why they say this is a cursed film, is because apparently the mechanism that is on, that was on with the little clown's arm and stuff malfunctioned, and it was actually choking
Oh,
him.
really?
Yes.
So that was all real.
Yep.
If they used the real shot.
According to him.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna believe him.
Yeah, I'm sure he was experiencing it.
Yeah.
Maybe he was that terrified. No, I mean, it's an actor. He knows what he's doing. So, yeah. But that's all.
But he
nonetheless,
is still a kid, too.
imaginations can run wild.
Yeah. How much can you really act through that? I feel like his performance was believable. So
He
like I
portrayed
feel
being
like
scared very well.
yeah, he did.
Throughout the whole movie.
Just even like the way that he's like, mup, mup,
He was scared
mup,
throughout the
mup.
entire movie.
Yes.
Like from start to
Terrified
finish.
of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked at the point when they said, don't like clear your minds. Like, you know, it knows what you're afraid of. It's known the entire time.
Yeah.
And like the tree and everything like that.
Exactly.
For him, it really
it's
did
using
a good
it
job.
against them.
And the thunder and lightning, all of it was like thunder and lightning. So
definitely targeted towards his fears.
really cool. But to get into the film,
yeah, we start with a very Star-Spangled Banner just opens up the film.
Yep.
You're getting TV footage.
so close up and pixelated.
Yeah,
You can't tell.
No. And then we get a title card of Poltergeist,
Nice and simple.
It turns to TV fuzz.
Yes.
And then we pull out and we see that, of course, Dad fell asleep watching TV at night. And we see a little doggy. And I already wrote like, oh, in parentheses, he's going to die. But we'll find out.
E-Buzz does not die.
No.
Why is his name E-Buzz?
I don't know. Isn't that no, that has nothing to
Buzz
Lightyear, but
Buzz
that came out
Aldrin.
after. Yeah. So I don't know.
Maybe
It's a family name.
Maybe.
He's a junior.
There's probably something behind it, and I just didn't look it up. He's a junior.
But the dog, E-Buzz, he's going around, he's snooping around.
Stealing
And I
all
guess
the
because
food.
apparently this family likes to fall asleep with snacks next to them.
I know when What's-Her-Face had the whole fucking bag of
Potato chips, like
Potato
underneath
chips.
her pillowcase.
Yeah.
One, she's like sleeping on top of that, crunching them up.
She was, yeah.
But
I was
okay.
like, what are you doing?
But you get that shot of him eating the chips, and he kind of goes to the other kids' bedrooms, and it leads us into meeting our not protagonist, but like our main character,
Our
I
star
would
of
say.
the film.
Star, yeah, little Miss Carol Ann. I'll call her Blondie for most of the film. There's a little Blondie.
Carol Ann.
And she wakes up.
I mean, she does have platinum.
Yeah,
like
it's a
the
beach
very
blonde.
epitome of
It's
platinum.
Lady
blonde
Gaga
hair.
poker face.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Bangs and all.
And so she goes downstairs and she's looking at the fuzz at the TV, and we can kind of hear like faint whispers kind of fluffing around.
Yes.
And she starts speaking to the fuzz.
She sits in front of it and she says, "Hello.
It's very creepy.
What do you look like?
Yeah.
Talk louder. I can't hear you." Fucking creepy.
I'm a demon.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then she starts yelling.
And wakes up the whole fucking family. And I love how they just kind of come downstairs and the dad's just looking at her. And like, one, why the fuck are we yelling at her? Like, Carol Ann, get your ass to bed.
Yeah.
It's
Shut
3
up.
in the fucking morning.
Exactly.
And also,
I would.
They didn't shit. They were like just listening to her, watching her. Like they didn't shut that shit down.
Yeah, because
like,
she continues the
they just kept on
conversation.
going. Yeah.
And she goes, 5. And she says, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know.
And then she just like starts touching the TV screen.
Yep. And that's where we get our iconic shot where she's touching the screen, which I recreated when I went to the House of Wax in the horror film little exhibit.
That's awesome.
In LA. Also, backtrack just a little bit. Her bed. First off, this is my dream home. If I could live in a home, it would be this home.
Yeah.
None of the interior was actually used. Like that was all sets. The exterior of the home is a real home that you can still visit to this day. Well,
but the inside was a set.
Yeah, the inside was a set. But if that was what the inside of that house really looked like, I would sell all of my kidneys.
Very vintage. You need at least one.
I get rid of them.
You'll die in the house.
If I know that I am in that house, it's fine.
Maybe we can invent you an iron kidney. I don't know.
I love it. Let's do it.
It'll rest.
But
and then you'll go into septic shock.
And then I'll die.
We all die eventually, so you might as well get what you want.
Exactly. Live a few happy moments. But it needs to have Carol Ann's bed.
With the like metal framing and all that.
I think it was wicker.
Was it wicker?
Yes.
That would explain why it just like broke apart. Yeah.
Yeah, but later in the movie it's also fixed, and I'm like, you just found another bed like that? I don't think so. I mean, but they were being produced in that. Yeah, I mean, maybe they just glued it real nice.
Yeah. But wicker was more popular back then.
Yeah. And that bed is, I like literally dream of that. I've Googled like Poltergeist bed, Carol Ann's bed before, like trying to find this exact bed. If I could read like that man who collected all the horror memorabilia, I want to collect house stuff from horror movies. Basically, I just want to recreate this entire house
and make it your own.
Yes. But I know there's some other houses that we visited.
That you were like,
others.
I want that house too.
So
you can make a conglomeration of everything, all the things you love.
Exactly.
It was a pretty
cool
vintage
house.
like bedroom.
Yes.
The whole house. I like the staircase and how it came down in the middle.
So cool.
It was pretty cool. I like how it came down in the middle.
It's so mod. It's like very 60s and like whenever they were building those. I mean, I know that was supposed to be built in 76, I think. Which I guess they still were creating those kinds of houses at that time. But anyways, I digress. But that bed is, if you've never seen
house,
this bed.
Don't touch it.
Yes. I'll kill all of you.
She'll send the poltergeist after you.
Yeah. Zap, zap.
And so after she touches that screen, we fade into a beautiful day. We get a shot of the beautiful town.
Suburbia.
At
its finest.
It's called Pueblo Verde or something like that.
Yeah, I almost said Buena Vista.
It's not, but it's very, very along those lines.
Very close to like what Nope's town was, but that was an actual place too.
Yeah.
I forgot.
And so we are like kind of, getting B-roll footage of all this happening, kind of happy-go-lucky music going on. And then we have these kids with
dicks.
some that's literally kids being dicks. Look at my notes. Kids being dicks.
Kids being little dicks.
That's what I wrote. And they make the guy trip up on his bike, and he was rushing home with some beers, and they end up like popping on him, and he's trying to get in the house because the dudes are trying to watch the game.
Trying to watch football.
Of course, always fucking football. And we have mom cleaning. Of course, we have her finding Tweety, who is very dead.
I love how she was like, "Oh shit!" Like, "Oh, Tweety."
Yeah. Why couldn't you have died like on a school day?
Why couldn't you have waited for a school day? And I was like, these parents crack me up.
Me too. Throughout the whole film,
love them.
They're very chill family.
Yes, this movie has a wonderful mix of comedy. Within it, and they did so. Spielberg and Hooper wanted actors and actresses who were not well known. They specifically chose them so that way it would make the film feel more realistic in the haunting, because they said they felt like if it was like the biggest name actors there at the time, it would really take you out of it. Yeah,
it's not real.
Exactly. And with this, I felt like they did such a good job of humanizing these characters and really making them feel like a family, and the way that they would go from, they just did such a phenomenal job acting. And like there's the one scene where they're sitting there smoking weed and stuff, and then whenever
I was wondering, like, was that weed? I was like, wait, surely it's a cigarette or tobacco.
Weed. Oh, it could have been tobacco.
Like,
but
rolled
they
up
were so giggly.
That's why I was like, they're very giggly, and they're like jumping up and like, it's weed.
I was like, it's weed. I'm gonna believe it's weed.
It is weed.
It's a Chris. Is that a weed?
I'm calling the cops, or calling 911.
Yes.
Deep, deep, deep.
LOL.
Dude, isn't it the X-Files?
It is. Yeah.
I can't recreate that.
And it's on the microwave. I fake pushed the air. Y'all couldn't see it.
And so we have, she found Tweety, and then we cut back to the guys in the like living room trying to watch the game, and the TV keeps switching between what's that dude, the neighbor guy?
Ben.
What?
His name was Ben.
Oh, no.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers. I was like, no, I don't. I know that's not right. I don't remember it, but that's not right.
Can you imagine if the show was just
Ben's neighborhood, right? Or what? Mr. Rogers' neighborhood or something like that? And so it's Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Ben.
And it keeps switching between that. And so the explanation is that I guess I'm ignorant to the fact that TVs worked like this back in the day.
I guess the receivers were just close enough. And
so the guys' TVs, I guess every house comes with the same exact TV set.
Yeah.
Their remotes were catching each other.
Suburbia.
Yeah. And so they're like
fighting
because he's like, my kids want to watch, what's his name? Mr. Roger. And my kids and we were trying to watch the game.
Yeah.
So,
and he's like, meh. But I would have been like, bitch, we were watching TV first. So you can tell your little kids to shove
for real.
I can't believe the mom tried to flush the bird.
I was wondering that too. I was like, why would you flush a bird? Your toilet? It's not like a fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's bigger and like, yeah.
You're also just not supposed to flush any of your animals when they died.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, but I was just like, what in the world? But of course she gets caught in the act. Carol Ann sees her. So then we have a big burial scene.
You're not supposed to flush fish down the toilet?
I'm pretty sure no.
Oh. You're supposed to bury those too?
I buried my fish in a little soap box.
Ooh.
His name was Fishy.
Well, I've flushed fish down toilets before, but now that I know, I won't do it again.
I also could be a liar.
That's fine. Well, maybe it's bad for the environment.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's probably better that they turn back into dirt. I don't know how it
Yeah.
works. Do
Who
fish
knows?
turn back into dirt? They're pretty bony. That's just bones. They just turn into bones.
Turn back into dirt.
Or do they turn back into water?
They start as dirt.
We turn into dirt, don't we? I don't know.
We go into the dirt. I don't know.
We
return to the earth.
when we
is
deteriorate, do we turn into like dirt? I thought
think
we turned
turn
to dust.
into dust and air.
Is dust different from dirt?
Yes.
You can't compost with our bodies.
No.
Like
I don't
create
know.
like soil that's nutrient.
I feel like you could, right?
Don't those people like instead of like you
you
get
become
planted as a tree?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a thing.
We're off topic.
Anyways, but we're having our burial scene. Carol Ann puts a little piece of licorice and he says something for when he's hungry. And when he's lonely, she puts a little picture of her and
talking
Robbie.
about trees, at the same time we got that cutaway, the little boy is about to climb up that damn tree.
That's true. Yeah, he is.
But you're right. Yeah. So she's putting in the lollipop and the photograph and then the blankie.
The blankie for when it's nighttime.
And then a rose.
Yeah, very sweet. They're not burying it very deep.
No.
It was like...
Not at all.
You go stick your binky in. And it's like,
just right there.
I was like, an animal's going to dig that up.
The mom's high.
Yeah, that's true.
The mom is high.
Yeah,
she can't do anything.
her
She's high throughout this entire movie.
Kids climbing a tree.
pretty
It was a
convinced.
good climbing tree. Let me just say.
It had a lot of
perfect-
places.
Yeah.
But he gets really high up there, and I love how even when she's burying it, she's like, "Mom, when it rots, can we unbury it and look at its bones or something like that?"
That is what he says. It's so funny.
And then she's like, "Can I get a goldfish now?"
Yeah, and she goes through the whole "now I lay me down to sleep," and even
that's
Big
right.
Sis. That's
I
when
was
we
like,
get
ugh,
Big Sis for the first time, and she's like so upset about everything.
Yeah,
but yeah,
she's a teenager.
The transition to "Can I have a goldfish now?" was
And then
so
there's
funny.
and then there's a fucking goldfish.
There was. I was like,
so
they went
fast.
to the pet store immediately.
Literally. I feel like she threw a fit after that.
Yeah, probably.
And then we do have a lightning storm / thunderstorm.
And the tree looks like it has faces, doesn't it?
It does. That's
Yeah.
what I noticed too. Because I forget
The nub. Not
what's the little boy's name?
Gnarl. Oh, Robbie.
Robbie. Duh.
Is your boyfriend.
Robbie. But like, I don't call Robert Robbie.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I also call him Robert.
Yeah, I call him Babe or BB. If I call him by his real name, he's like, ill.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I always go baby to Andrew, and that's how we answer the phone.
That's cute. And so we do have Robbie looking at the tree, and he's spooked by it. And honestly, I don't even think there's anything really even happening with it right now. It's just so scary that like there's the lightning and the storm, and it's making it look spooky.
Yeah.
And I mean, later on, it does come alive, but at this moment, it's what incites his fear of it. But yeah, it's just looking very scary.
And then the poltergeist preys on that later on.
And then at the same time, we have Carol Ann trying to feed her fish, and she's very much overfeeding
She's just gonna drown that thing.
And the mom is like, if you overfeed it, it's gonna turn into a shark.
But low key, goldfish can, when they're not kept in captivity, they can get
really
up to
big,
like 4 to
right?
5 feet, like human size.
I get what you mean, because they never stop eating, right? And they just grow and grow and grow. The older they get, the bigger they get. Yeah.
Whenever they're in captivity, they stay tiny.
Small. Aw. I want a big goldfish.
No, that's so scary to me. Aquatic life freaks me out.
Gloop gloop. It reminds you of Nope.
It does.
And the mom's trying to put the kids to bed, and as she's walking out, or right before she does, she forgets to leave the closet light on, which she's got to leave the closet light. This fucking closet, this fucking evil closet.
Evil closet.
Gateway portal to hell. Yeah. And so she does that. She's in the bed, and this is where we get the scene that it looks like they're smoking weed.
Yeah.
They're reading, she's talking about how her and Carol Ann are similar, because when she was little, her and her mom and Carol Ann are the same, because when she was little, she like would have these kind of things that Carol was doing, like talking to TV, and she would
sleepwalking, yeah.
And eventually ended up like falling asleep in some guy's truck, and he took it to work the next day. And she got him in trouble.
Yeah because he didn't notice until he got all the way to work, and then she woke up screaming. The police like took him in. So bizarre.
And
that poor man.
That's what I was thinking the whole time, like what he would like, and he's just like, what the fuck,
like I was just trying to go to work.
Literally. Oh man. And because it's not even just that's someone's reputation. So after that, even if you are cleared, there's always that doubt.
That
Like,
someone's going to be like, this man's a child
just a pervert.
That's
very hard on the R. Sorry.
Perv.
And so we're talking, she's talking to Steve about the pool, because they're excavating a pool, getting it like, made. I was about to say built. Do you build a pool? I guess you do build a pool.
Yeah. Digging.
You dig it. And so, cause there's gotta be a hole. And she's afraid that Carol Ann is going to fall in and kill herself.
Yep. And
it's very dangerous.
Drown.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cause especially with the storm and everything, there's water
collecting.
And,
yeah.
I mean, even if it was dry, then it's still like a 10-foot drop. And, if you land just right, that can hurt you.
And then the dad gets up on the bed and is like trying to, he's like dad joking it away, essentially. Like it's not a big deal.
Practice, basically.
Yeah.
And it's really funny. It's a funny scene to me. I like it. I also feel like that scene was a little bit of foreshadowing for the mom.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And just setting up, because like we said, it uses their fears against them. And obviously from the get-go, her biggest fear was Carol Ann falling into the pool.
Yeah. Because dad even goes in at one point too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, when he jumps into that pool... So we're talking about maybe I should have reminded myself where I'm at. We were just coming at that. You're right. Diving practice.
But then we flash back to Robbie with the clown, and that clown's a no.
The clown is very much a no.
No.
I don't get why people. Never mind.
Yeah.
Let me stop talking.
I don't get it either. I was terrified of clowns growing up.
But you collect them, and that's fine.
I don't get it.
But I don't understand why people. Well,
it's not really that I collect them.
It's not for me.
People just keep giving me them.
Gotcha, because they think you like them.
Because I had like one or two, or then I bought my clown bake, and then people just keep giving me more.
Gotcha. But I mean, you do embrace them.
Yeah, I do, because it's a gift, and I want to love it.
But
I love
also,
those two dolls
like you said,
from you. They sit in my peacock chair.
The clowns that I did see at your place, they're not as scary as this clown. That's also, this looks like a very menacing clown, which I'm sure it was meant to look like this, but like it's also very menacing.
It's wiggly arms. Not a fan of that.
Yeah, because they're like it's like a Freddy Krueger, like all those things with like the scary like abnormally long arms is very uncomfortable because it can get you. Hard pass. It can get you and bring you in like an octopus. Like if you look at an octopus, octopuses are scary.
They are.
Yeah.
Hence.
Squids, the giant squids, the kraken, like all of the freaking, tail and more of a kraken. That's exactly what the kraken sounds like. I've never seen Juno. I know what it is, but I've never seen it.
It's a great film.
And so we have them, and also I do really like the scene of them in the bedroom as well, because it really shows like in a matter of like kind of 4 minutes, their relationship, the way that they kind of work with each other and talk to each other. It seems like a very normal, loving, good, healthy home. Yeah. And so this stuff is just happening to them. Yeah. Which as opposed to like some other movies, sometimes you get like dads.
There's dysfunctional.
There's dysfunction. Yeah. But this is like very chill.
Because a lot of the times it does feed
off
on
of the dysfunction that was already in the home. Yeah, exactly.
And so, but thankfully, they have such a good relationship, and the way that they switch into parent mode so fast when Robbie comes in is just incredible. They're just like, mommy, and like they're having such fun, like laughing, kind of canoodling. And then they were like,
dad, mom mode. Yeah, she has to put away the weed,
Yep.
And then she's like, what's wrong? And he's telling them how he's afraid of the storm, and so dad is like, I'll be the wind and you're the feather, and he gets him on his back and they go to their bedroom, and he's trying to like,
and I like
ease him and calm him.
Even just the little additive of like, tell your mom goodnight. That's such a sweet thing too. Like, because I would never think to do that. I'd be like, come on, kid.
Yeah.
Let's get you back to bed.
Get out.
Get the fuck out.
Throw a shoe.
Yeah.
Well, we're not parents, so good thing.
Good thing.
And so we do have them in there, and he's trying to ease him. He's telling him, to count and to basically just go to bed. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know, the storm will pass.
Is that a real? I mean, I always did that trick growing up.
Like
Did
counting?
You? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
I wonder if it's like legit.
I don't think
wonder
it
how
is,
factual it is.
actually.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that factual.
My parents told me that too, though.
No, yeah, for sure.
I love the way too. Whenever he's like, just like trying to focus on Robbie, Carol Ann's like, "Daddy, it's for you," and I was like, "Carol Ann, no one wants to talk on your phone right now.
Yeah.
Go to bed."
For real. And so that's
we're helping Robbie right now
because he's having a hard time. And so it's taken a while actually to kind of get him to chill out for a little bit. And then also Carol Ann too. Yeah, her ass is awake as well. These kids are not falling asleep.
No.
And then eventually, as he does leave them, and then he comes out and he goes into the sister's bedroom and he's like, go to bed, because she's on the phone like a teenager would be.
I like the way he goes, mm-hmm.
We go back into the bedroom with the parents, and then we get like a flash of thunder and lightning, and the kids are in the bedroom sleep with them.
Like, okay,
that seems very,
work.
you know, it just seems real life.
Yes, it does, for real.
I used to be that
the
kid.
The shell lamps next to their bed were so good, and the credenza as well.
I don't pay attention to home decor as I feel like as much as I should now.
Well, I think it's just because I like to buy home decor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole storage unit of home decor and a couch at a random Texas music cafe that I've not
Whenever
gotten.
you do buy your own home one day, it's going to have so much stuff to be put in it.
It is.
That's good.
Thank
so you already have
goodness.
everything.
Yeah, I won't have to buy any more.
Exactly.
Acquire it slowly over time. But then it definitely is shots of DC. We get the Star Spangled Banner.
You're going to hell.
Again. Spanner.
It's the Star Spangled Banner.
Send me right to hell.
Again. And it's on the TV, you know, because I guess for some reason they have the Star Spangled Banner play every night on their TV. I don't know. Yeah, it must be something. And so we get TV Fuzz again though.
Yep.
TV Fuzz. And then we do have Miss, what's her name?
Carol Ann.
Blondie. I keep putting, every time in my notes is Blondie. So Blondie starts kind of noticing that the fucking, you know, TV Fuzz is going on again, and she's going up to it. And then we see orbs like on the fuzz and the TV moving around. And she's hearing these whispers, and then she puts out her, and then we have a hand come out of the TV. Which is like, whenever it first started happening, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, they look like those things that you would like slap,
the slappy,
the silly
sticky.
slappy hand thing that's sticking and sticks on the wall, and kind of cartoonish
Tim
with
Burton.
like these hands, just going out and then like kind of swirling around. It kind of looks like when you have a pie in a cartoon, and then like the aroma swirling around through the room. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, it definitely gave a lot of Nightmare Before Christmas for me. Didn't Spielberg help with Nightmare Before Christmas?
I have no idea.
I have no clue.
I thought that was just I don't know. Did he
I
help
don't
Tim
know,
Burton?
I don't know if he helped Tim Burton or not.
I'm sure they're all friends.
Not sure at all.
And so we do have
friends.
They might be. They're in the same profession.
Are.
Yeah. And so they hate each other. Could you imagine?
Oh,
and so they're like, God, Steve. Oh God.
Fucking
Timothy.
Tim.
And so is Tim even short for Timothy?
You know, I have no clue. Timothy Burton. Timothy
Burton. It definitely doesn't have the same ring to it. And so that's whenever I'm like, oh my God, what's happening in this room? Because the whole room starts shaking.
Yeah. Like
and then everything is kind of like not flying around, but like, you know,
the electricity
flailing around and like the stuff in the room, the furniture,
like it would in an earthquake.
Yeah.
He calls it like a 6.5 on the Richter scale later on, and then that little ball of energy and stuff goes
zoop, right into the room, and we do have it like going above the bed, and the parents and the whole family, and they're like, you know, kind of like, what the fuck, and kind of they're kind of like in it, like you know when you wake up and you're like, what, and your whole bedroom is shaking, you're like, what
the fuck is happening? Freaking out,
because I don't know if they didn't see that, right?
No, that
they didn't
happened.
see the orb.
That's what caused the earthquake.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then they ended up waking up, and then Miss Blondie is like,
Carol Ann says, they're here. Iconic.
Fucking scary.
The line of this film. Everyone knows they're here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And they end up and then after that they're kind of just like, okay, and then it's the next day already.
Yep, we get a shot of poor Tweety already
getting
being
bulldozed, like unearthed, which is foreshadowing for the whole movie.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Oh, that's exactly what's gonna happen.
And we have like you said, Dad's on the phone and he's talking about like it was a 6.5 and trying to tell whoever he's talking to like we had
how the fuck did you sleep through that
earthquake? Yeah, which it wasn't an earthquake; it was just their house.
Yep.
And so we do have them eating breakfast. The dog gets a waffle. The kids are throwing food across the table.
Dana, right? Is the sister's name?
I don't even know.
I believe so.
What's Dana doing? She didn't want to eat the
Eggo.
Her name is Dana. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, girl, eat your fucking Eggo.
Played by Dominique Dune.
Ooh, an Eggo sounds so good.
I think I've had an Eggo. I'm pretty sure I've had an Eggo. Yeah, I've had an Eggo.
Bitch, let's go get some chocolate chip Eggos.
But only like one time, I think.
Change your life.
And so I've had the blueberry one, I think. I don't think I've ever had a chocolate chip one.
You put that shit in the toaster. Yum. Delish.
And so that's whenever you do have...
put it with some milk.
They're all... Oh, what?
And the glass explodes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. Are you talking about the Eggo?
Put the Eggo with some milk like Robbie was. And then his glass explodes.
Yes, literally.
I was trying to do a transition.
No, you're good. Which is what happens. And then we have them kind of doing this whole breakfast spiel. Dad is leaving to go to work, and then Robbie wants to leave with her. And then we do see that Blondie is looking at the TV fuzz on the kitchen TV because they had a kitchen TV.
Mm-hmm. And she even said the TV people are here after the milk glass exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she's looking at the TV, and Robbie notices that his fork is bent as well as his spoon. Which is a kind of a classic like poltergeist idea. Maybe because of this film.
Maybe probably
I associate that with a like classic poltergeist.
But that's what it is though. Poltergeists are like they do like mischievous little things. It's like very much like the Sour Patch Kid kind of thing.
Sour sweet gone. Have you ever had a I mean your bed would shake, right?
Yeah. I've had that many. I don't know. Yeah, whenever I was living at my family's house, at my parents' house, and even I think I told you I asked my dad one time, and he was like, "Yeah, I feel that." Like the bed was shaking. I don't know.
It's like, yep, poltergeist.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? The house I lived in before this one, I would come home to the cabinets being open a lot. There was one time I came home and like almost every single cabinet was open, and I was like, guys, I had to message both of my roommates and was like, did y'all leave these open or did we get robbed? Like, do I need to get out of the house? Actually, I didn't come to that conclusion. I was like, ghost immediately. And then Sam was like, is someone in the house? Like, get out of there. And I was like, oh, right.
That could also be a possibility.
This could be a robber.
And they're hiding in the closet right now.
Not a ghost.
That's crazy.
That should have been my first.
They're still there.
Probably.
They're in the attic. They started living there.
We had this one offshoot on the other side of the garage that we call the murder closet. So they'd probably sleep in there. Anyways.
And so we do have the mom also asking, I forgot, Carol Ann about like, you said they're here last night. Who did you mean?
Yeah.
And Carol Ann, she doesn't ever give like a solid answer, right?
Yeah. Boop, 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 beep, bop, boop. Carol Ann, she says, at one point, I think, because Carol Ann scares her and she says, do you want to see mommy lying in a cigar box covered with licorice? I thought that part was really funny. Anyways, she puts the chairs back and she asks her after all of the chair stuff happens.
Gotcha.
So the chairs, she comes back to the chairs all being pushed out from the wall. And she'd already just witnessed E-Buzz. Also like
being weird.
Yeah, bringing the toy to the wall.
That's true.
Barking at the wall and stuff. And then she comes back up and she asks about once she sees the chairs put back up in that impossible way.
Well, because Carol Ann scared her, right? Because she was right behind her and she was like, don't do that.
Yeah, that was when she said, do you want to see mommy lying in a cigar box covered with licorice? And then she puts the chairs back and then she turns around and then she turns back around.
And they're on the table.
And that like just insane stacked position. And then she goes, is this the TV people? And she says, oh, yeah, I guess that was a little bit earlier. Sorry.
It's okay.
She says, do you see them? And she says, uh-huh. And she says, do you? And she said, uh-uh.
Yeah.
And she says, do you? And the mom says, uh-uh. And that's basically the only extent that we get, though.
Yeah, but she does believe her at this point because she's like, what the fuck? That's weird.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not?
Yeah. I mean, it's proof right in front of you because nobody else, and you're the only one in the room. It's your house.
How old was Carol Ann? Robbie was 8. She must have been like 5.
Something like that, probably.
There's no way a 5-year-old is stacking those chairs.
And she was right in front of
way.
her. Yeah.
Yeah. She turned around for literally like 2
seconds. And so we do then have cutting to the dad doing his work spiel. She's showing these a home and like trying to, sell a house in the neighborhood to this couple. And they have some banter back and forth. It's not really nothing much happens. And
the
then
grass is greener on every side.
Exactly. And he's really doing his thing, trying to, sell this house. But then we cut to him getting home and the wife is just so excited. Diana is just so excited.
She's like, look at
get
this
him in
party
there.
trick.
Yeah, literally. She's like, now come in here. And she's like trying to show him, what's been happening in the house. She like taped up the floor, has like an arrow, like another taping circle, and
it was so intense.
Yeah. And so, and I
it looked like football plays.
And then Carol Ann's like, I'm hungry. And she's
hungry.
like, we'll go to Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to cook.
We'll stop. Like, we'll get to that in a second, but you're not important right now.
And I was thinking immediately, like, oh, obviously, she's trying to show him it's not going to work. But no, these ghosts like to show out.
They were on command. They were little performers because the moment she puts that chair there, just as they wait like 5 seconds, and then all of a sudden it wiggles, and then it just shoomps right across the room. And then I lost it when she makes
her reaction.
Carol Ann.
Oh God, me too. I was like, why the fuck are you putting your daughter there? Because this is the exact opposite.
A little helmet.
It just made me think of The Conjuring whenever the girl starts getting flung around the room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, you have no idea what's happening, but yet you're going to like just put your little girl.
Just here you go.
Yeah.
There's actually.
Throughout the whole movie though, actually, there were times. That's why I think like the mom is high throughout the whole movie because just, like even when she leaves them alone after everything that they've been through and goes to take that long bath, I wouldn't let these kids out of my sight.
Yes, there's actually a theory that the Conjuring universe and Poltergeist have they share a subtle connection. It says Poltergeist is an iconic horror staple that helped redefine the typical haunted house film, blah 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 blah. In that sense, Poltergeist is a precursor to ideas seen in films like The Conjuring. The parapsychologist, Dr. Martha Lesh, also shares some similarities to Lorraine Warren and the inspiration behind the Conjuring movies. And there's an argument to be made that Lorraine also paralyzed Poltergeist medium Tangina. Is that how you say her name?
I think Tangina.
Tangina, you never really hear her name.
I'd never picked it up. Yeah. I just see it now in the cast.
Yeah. Tangina due to her psychic abilities and kindness, but when it comes to personality and professional duties, Lorraine Essence is more seen through Dr. Lesh. Anyways, it's just saying that they basically, it's a really long article, so I'm not going to read it all. But that it's going through and it says that they share actually a lot of common similarities and that they are like kind of distantly related.
Cool.
Which I thought was neat.
But they could be in the same universe.
They definitely could be.
And so we do have, her using fucking
Lorraine
Carol
would have
Ann.
covered this case.
She would have. She would have cleaned it, solved it.
Yep.
Gotten rid of all the ghosts. And so we do have them kind of, the dad's confused, the mom's just elated, and then we go to the neighbor's house because they're just like, well, I don't even know what they're thinking at this point. They don't know what they're thinking at this point.
That harsh cut to their neighbors, like when they went to the neighbor's house, was kind of cool too.
Oh yeah,
I liked it. She was like mid-sentence, and then it was like JK, we're at the neighbor's house.
Here. Yeah.
I was like, okay.
and the neighbor opens the door, and they're out there, and they, because how do you speak to your neighbor about disturbances? I mean, which they find a way to, but they're beating around the bush. It takes a while. They're getting bit up by mosquitoes, apparently. Apparently this guy's family never gets bit by mosquitoes,
which was like, okay.
Why? It's kind of a necessary dialogue.
It really is.
But they also then
but also
and I was like this guy probably thinks they're high right now.
Well, because they were acting so giggly and
weird.
Too.
They
really
were high.
Maybe. And also maybe the mosquito things was to really show that their family is going to be affected, but not
anyone else's. Well, until the very end, because then it kind of affects everybody. But they do talk about it, and they're like, okay, well, the dad's like, I'm gonna call someone in the morning, and she's like, who are you gonna call? She's already tried to look for the yellow pages, and there's not anything really in there for paranormal help. But I digress. They're gonna figure it out. So the kids can't sleep, obviously, and then at this point we do have, because it kind of escalates. It goes from literally 0 to 100 really fast.
Because all of a sudden Treebeard breaks in and steals Robbie.
Literally Treebeard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like right through there. Gets him, takes him out. Everybody's up. Everybody's freaking out. Little Carol Ann is freaking out. The family's freaking out. They run outside to go try to get him.
But Carol Ann's paralyzed with fear, basically.
And just in the bedroom. And as they're going out there to go like help Robbie, my bad. They end up, she is left in the bedroom. And so the closet door ends up like flashing open. And it's kind of because you're cutting from back and forth. They're trying to get him out of the tree. It's like storming so bad outside, and there's a fucking tornado.
There's like a tornado.
Like I was like, what the fuck? A twister.
Everything is happening
all at once.
Yeah,
literally
Carol Ann,
everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah, oh, such a good movie. Carol Ann's like room is basically becoming a tornado too.
Oh yeah,
like
same thing.
All of her toys are getting sucked into
it's
the
like
closet.
A vortex.
Yeah, it's just like.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks it all in, and then
it's really after her,
yeah,
I believe, and she's obviously like trying to hold on for dear life, and at the same time poor Robbie is getting eaten by the tree somehow. Yeah, literally. But Dad climbs up just enough to like get him, pull him out, and as he's pulling him out, Carol Ann is like at this
her
point
perfect
like
bed gets broken,
and like she gets sucked up and snatched into the closet vortex. I was about to say closet door, but closet vortex.
Bed, not her getting
not her.
In.
Yeah, poor bed though. And so they're listening to all of that going on, and I love how the sister comes out and she's like, Twister. I'm like, obviously we know the
bitch. We see that.
Yeah, we see it.
Her character the whole time is like, girl, get away.
And she does.
She does
for the little time that she is there.
Very much not a part of.
I love how she was just like, I'm not staying here. Yep. I'm going to Crystal's or whoever her friend's house. She was like, you can't keep me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't care about y'all.
Yep. She was
literally
like, have fun.
Yeah. And so that's whenever we do have them coming, because she comes outside and they're like, where's Caroline? And she's like, I left her upstairs. Mm-hmm. And so they go back inside and then they're trying to find her, and they go into the bedroom. They see that everything is like fucked up. And then there's like the bed and the frame all over the closet door. They get it down and they go in and they think that she's like dead underneath like a little blanket.
I think they think she's hiding.
Really?
Yeah, because they kind of like had a like knowing smile, and they were just kind of like, oh.
I thought that smile after the fact. Wait,
maybe it was
like
after,
she's not
it was
dead.
Just the clown.
Yeah, because they were like, oh my god.
Oh, I thought it was just they thought it was funny that it was a clown.
No. Well, I think she thought like, because like us, just a fucking clown. But I think they were more like relieved because I think they thought it was Carol Ann, like.
Oh.
And the blanket just happened to be on her. Because then they're like, well, now she's got to be somewhere in the house.
Yeah, now where the heck is she?
Yeah. And so they're all looking around. And that's whenever she's like, they're looking in all the bedrooms. He doesn't want the kids to go into the kitchen. So he does it, the dad, Steven. And then Diane gets the like, light bulb goes on. She's like, the pool.
The pool.
Literally.
And meanwhile, we're getting a shot of Robbie, who seems to kind of know that Carol Ann's already missing. Or at least he gives his face looks like he knows. Well, he's just kind of like,
I think
and
dude
also in shock.
Just got sucked by a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's like, I think
he like also he gives like he knows that Carol Ann like something
maybe because he went into
something
that
also happened to Carol Ann is what it feels like.
Kind of tethered together because he kind of went into
halfway into the portal.
Yeah, essentially.
I feel like he just has a good feel. I mean, I like that idea though. I want to go with that. Mm-hmm. I think he just also has a like gut feeling like
he's just scared. Yeah, 24/7.
Yeah, he's terrified and he's like, oh shit, that just happened to me. Something probably happened to Carol Ann too because she was in the same room.
Yeah, and so we do have them going to the pool outside as it's raining, as it's like muddy, and the dad just jumps in there. And the way that he jumps in, why did he body slam in? He's just like.
He did all that diving practice earlier.
And he just body slams in. Because, like, what if he would have body slammed on top of Carol Ann?
Like, hit her little face, knock her unconscious. Yeah, that would have been bad.
But he goes in. He's, like, looking everywhere. And at the same time, we do have little Miss Sunshine, Miss Blondie. Rihanna, where are you at? Blondie coming through the TV. She's speaking up, and Robbie hears it.
Her.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and then he starts screaming here.
Bloody murder.
His screaming here was good.
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah. And he was like, ugh. And then that's when finally the mom gets in and we hear, Mommy, I can't see you. Mommy, where are you? Mm-hmm. And it's all like very, almost like, like when someone's passing. Where are you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The
and
audio
just,
is
like,
really
drawn
good. The
out.
way that they make the
Sounds like she's
the
really
sounds.
far away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was good. I liked it.
Their audio is really good because I was listening to it with headphones,
Oh,
and even it's the way that they do it on the speakers. It makes it pan from left to right.
Oh, I love that.
That's why it sounds like she's like,
That's cool.
And so we do have them talking to the TV now at this point because the mom's like, what the fuck? And she's communicating with Carol Ann.
Yeah.
And Carol Ann's like, she's not really saying much at this point, right? She's just saying like, mommy, help me.
Yeah, basically she's just saying, mommy, help me.
I'm
Where
here.
are you?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm lost.
where are you? Yeah.
And the mom is just like holding her hand up to the television, freaking out.
Yep. And then I think we flash to the dad.
With the paranormal investigators.
Yeah, looking for people who can help investigate because, now obviously
she's
his
missing. She's been sucked up.
daughter is missing. And so he's like, what the fuck is going on? He looks rough.
He does, yeah. He looks like he's like also like in shock.
Yeah.
Just
and like he hasn't slept at all. The bags under his eyes are so intense.
They're asking him very general questions, like, who's been affected, what's going on, trying to get a rundown.
Publicized?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, are you just doing this for money?
Exactly.
Or are you doing this for legitimate reason?
And he's just like, I just want my fucking girl. Please help me.
Please just find my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so then they arrive at the home. The paranormal investigating team, Dr. Lesch's team, comes back to the house with them, and they're basically like saying, okay, well, what's in that room? Dad's saying like, we don't go in that room no more. After that, you just hear he's talking about like constant banging, the music, everything. I know the first time whenever I watched this, I wasn't expecting it to look like what it was behind the door once they opened it. I just thought, like banging like happening in the wall, like ghostly stuff, not like music boxes and records playing and stuff, which was really cool.
And so he ends up kind of giving them the lowdown of what's happening. And that's whenever they're back now at the kitchen table, right? And they're having the conversation of like what's going on in the house. And she's even Dr. what is it? Lesch. I love how she's like, it might not be a haunting, it's just a poltergeist, and then like the sugar just goes across there's a cup of tea, something, it's her cup of tea,
a little coffee pot or something.
It just goes across the table, like kind of like, right on cue.
Bitch.
Like the comedic timing, as you said earlier, throughout the movie is kind of good sometimes, because even the family are just like they're even unfazed. They're just like, you see the shit,
it's
fix
happening.
it. Yeah.
And then whenever the light goes, she goes, there'll be 2 more in a second.
Yeah.
Just you wait. Like they're like, we know how this is going already. I know this is shocking to you, but it's not to us. Please, just
because
find
they've
our
been
girl.
living through it.
Yeah.
And that's whenever they do end up. She's like yelling at her, Ryan, I think it is, to like take a picture, and he's like taking pictures, and Diane's like, you got to be faster than that in this house.
Yeah.
And
be quicker than that.
And
remember that Geico commercial?
Oh yeah, with the dollar.
Get the dollar. Almost got it.
And so that's whenever we do cut to them now being like, now it's official. We're getting set up. But Dr. Lesch is telling the mom to like, get ready to call out to Carol Ann, because we need to, they want to figure out, is this real or is this fake? What's going on? So she starts calling out to her, and we do see that Mr. Buzz, the dog, is already kind of getting that little whimpery, like, something wrong.
And he's like up on his hind legs,
which he does a lot.
Yeah, looking up at like the ceiling and stuff, like as if there's something above him that he's interacting with.
And at this point, both the parents are now calling out to her, right?
Yeah.
And
it's
she's
really,
like,
it's really sad. It's really a sad moment.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly,
because they're like desperate.
Yeah.
And we get a cut in of Ryan with the headphones on, and we start to hear, hello, daddy.
Yeah.
And she's talking back to them, and that's whenever the dog gets scared, and they're trying to communicate with her and like figure out where she's at, and she says that she sees a light.
Yeah.
And that's whenever
bad.
I love how we go back and forth with this shit, but Dr. Lesch, she's just like, tell her not to go towards the light. Whatever she does, do not go towards the light. But lo and behold, let us figure out, her going towards the light is what should have happened. But anyways.
Well, but not even all the way to it. She just needs to lead the people into it.
That's true.
Yeah, she's saying like somebody like, and then she starts saying, she's saying she's afraid of the light and all that stuff, and they're saying don't go towards it. And then that's when the jewelry comes through the roof.
Yeah.
We see that there's
weird
basically like a portal
and stuff. And she called one a cavalier or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And then we get little Carol Ann saying, "Mommy, there's somebody here." And she says, "Mommy, is that you? Mommy, somebody's coming. Help me." And then she starts screaming, and it's just like,
she gets kind of snatched away, and it goes like through the air. So they're all kind of like, "Oh my God," because she goes from one side of the house to the other side.
Yeah.
And then the mom feels this like gust of wind come through her, and the face that she's just like, "Oh."
Yeah, it did.
She's like, "I felt her."
It looked a little inappropriate.
And she's like, "She came right through me. She went through my soul."
And she's like, "You can
smell her."
I love the way that
just
she walked right up to Lesh and was like,
as if she knows how she smells.
I was like, this bitch has never met Carol Ann. And you just shoved your scarf in her face. Like,
and Dr. Lesh is just smiling like,
yes,
that's her. And so they're just, and then all of a sudden the house just like, okay, the house just like farts on them. Yeah. Because that's pretty much how it was. Like, it starts like,
loud banging from upstairs.
Yeah.
I call it giant demon explosions.
Wind happening, but then like it's just them in there, and then they're like on the ground, and then like everything. Yeah, exactly. Just like that. And they're all kind of boofed to the ground.
Boofed.
And then they're coming to, and they're like, Dr. Lesh is like, where was she when she disappeared? And they're telling her in the bedroom, and they're like, we obviously don't go in there, like I said earlier.
But Lesh says, "I'm going up there anyways."
And so as she's trying to do that, I don't remember his name, the dude with the glasses.
Oh yeah, I think it's like Matt or something.
I have it written down, but what happens to him?
Yeah, I have it later. He comes back down though, and he's like
Marty.
It was like something with an M-A. Homeboy comes back down though, and he's got this giant bite mark in his side. It was like Jaws.
Yeah,
clamped down on his side.
Pretty bad.
It was like from
I was expecting like a little person mouth bite, not like a big animal mouth bite. Yeah,
fucking monster.
Yeah,
it was like from his right where his like
a
side
rib
boob
cage,
would be.
Yeah.
That's a better description.
From like the rib cage to like the waist to the start of the hip. Yeah,
not his side boob.
But he does have a boob.
I was
flat
just
boob.
like my side boobs right here. So.
Yeah. Where the bottom of the bra would begin, essentially-ish.
Yeah.
And then like to the hip. So it's pretty big. And he's like, "Oh my God." And they're like, "Oh my God." And everybody's like, "What the fuck is happening in this house?"
Yep. And this is where we get the first mention of an area of bilocation in their house. And one of them says, if there's a way out, there may be some way in, basically.
Yeah.
And Lesh is like terrified. She's like shaking and stuff too.
Yeah.
Still, she's just like,
they're all spooked
because this is when they're having she pulls out the flask, right, with the mom.
Yeah, because she's on the couch talking to the mom because she almost turned off the TV, or she did turn off the TV, and the mom's like, "Turn it back on." And then they're having that conversation, and the mom, she sees her pull out that flask, and then the mom's just like, "Just a few minutes ago you were shaking," and
she's
then
like, I'm still terrified.
It's not over yet. Yeah. And so that's whenever they're kind of talking for a little bit, and then
Rob wakes up and he's like,
"Yeah,
when I die, will I go into the TV as well?" And then mom was like, "Carol Ann's not dead."
Yeah.
Like, no.
Very much so. And then we have, doesn't Linda say, Dr. Thresh, say something to him?
Yeah. Lesh says some people die, and like there are some people that die and still think they're alive, and they go into this other plane. And then that there's people who, I guess, I don't think she quite understands that there could be someone like in this in-between plane and still be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then that's whenever we do have the mom talking to Robbie about, he's going to go to his grandma's house, right?
Yes.
Or he will be going to his grandma's house.
Yeah.
And she's excited to see him and all this stuff. And then we have the investigators kind of investigating, basically. And then Marty is like, "I'm going to go get a snack or something like that."
Yeah,
because he goes to the kitchen.
Hungry.
Yeah, and so he starts just going in there, and I love how he just pulls out a steak and he's gonna cook a steak.
I know. I was like, what
very
the
expensive
fuck?
steak.
This man's just gonna. I was like, did he just pull out a whole steak?
Yeah, and I guess I'm like, it seems like it's like 11 midnight or like middle of the night. Yeah,
and I'm like, why are you cooking a whole ass steak right now? Also, you just slapped it on the counter, which is disgusting and super unsanitary, but whatever.
It's the 80s.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he's like sitting there eating that chicken wing, but then the steak starts
like a worm.
Yes, it was like an inchworm.
Yeah, inching across the island, and it looked really gnarly.
Yes.
And he's like obviously freaking out. He's got like that chicken, what is it?
Chicken wing, little thigh or
drumstick. There we go. Yeah, it's a drumstick. He's got that chicken.
I don't know. I don't eat chicken.
I know. Sorry, I shouldn't have asked. And so that's whenever he's got that in his mouth and he's watching it like go across, and it finally comes right to the end, and it just starts like erupting on itself, kind of like spoiling, like, you know. And it just seems like more meat is coming out of it.
Yeah,
like, yeah. But is it bugs?
I don't know.
I only saw the maggots on the chicken.
Yeah, I saw the meat. It looked like meat, and
just
then
carnage. It looks like stuff coming through a grinder. You know?
Yeah, it did. And then, but then it turns to maggots on the steak too.
And then because he drops that chicken bone or chicken drumstick from his mouth, and then he looks down and there's, excuse me, maggots on it. Really gross, really nasty.
So he, of course, goes into the utility closet to puke.
Yeah,
basically, and. Then he looks back up in the mirror, and
this whole scene, it's pretty crazy. It's like a nightmare scene.
It is. And the face, I loved that they tried.
They tried, yeah.
It looked like a Walmart version of his face.
It did. It was very like House of Wax.
Yeah.
Like, but not
It looked
good.
like it was
Very
made with plate.
cheap.
It almost looked claymation.
It did. Yeah, it wasn't that great.
But once they started ripping into it, phenomenal.
And it, yeah.
But that like
exactly.
brief second where it hit the face's hole, I was like, this is so bad.
It's obviously not his face. Yeah. And then like he's peeling away. He like gets to the bone, and it's just like he's screaming. It's just his bone and flesh and blood and guts falling into the, like, you know, not guts, but blood and flesh. Yeah.
It's a cool scene.
I think it is. It only lasted like a few seconds, because then he kind of comes to, and it's reality, and it never happened, but he was seeing that. Yeah. Playing on his fears, I guess. Maybe his fears to be like, you know, flesh eating zombie. I don't know.
Who knows?
And so all of that's happening, and he's kind of freaked out and spooked after that, of course. But then we cut to Ryan at the cameras, and he's kind of not paying attention, but the camera is moving.
Yeah, because he's busy drawing a like face ghost basically coming down the stairs from earlier.
Yeah.
The camera's moving up to focus on the stairs. The polygraph thing is going wild.
Off the meters. And we have
all the machines really are just bugging.
And then Marty's coming in, and he starts to see like, we see the light and kind of smoky kind of stuff coming from the bedroom. Not a bedroom. I don't know if it's a bedroom or if it was just like the hallway opening from the upstairs. Yeah. And Marty, obviously, like, I feel like everything in this movie kind of also keeps happening to Marty, and that's why he was like, I'm not coming back. No, I got bit. I saw steak, maggots. And then he's the first one that kind of, because everyone else that too, and then everyone else is still kind of asleep, and he starts seeing that going on, and then he has to get like Ryan's attention, like, look. And we see the lights, and it starts going into like we saw earlier, like the orbs and spirit kind of floating through the room until it kind of comes into an actual like person. You can kind of tell it's a woman.
It looked like a woman to me as well.
And now everybody's awake and everybody's watching. At this point also, did the daughter leave? No, she's still there. She's still there.
Yeah, she is still there. Yeah.
Because everyone's seeing it now, and then they're kind of like, so many orbs are coming through, and then it kind of passes. As soon as the dad, I think, starts saying like, who is that? And I'm like, oh, you spooked him off.
Yep, because then it gets like sucked back up into the roof, basically.
Yeah. And then
but they did catch that all on camera.
I love how she's like, roll it back.
Yeah.
Roll it back. And they're looking at it, and they see it more clearly on the camera, actually.
There's lots of people.
Yeah. And even Robbie's like, who are they?
And she says they're so lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way that he said, where are they coming from? And then my brain was like, where did they go? Where did they come from? God,
Joe.
I was like, I couldn't unhear it. I was stuck in my head for like 5 minutes after this scene. And I was like, no, stop thinking about Cotton Eye Joe.
And so they're, it's the next day. All of this happened. Robbie is leaving with
They're
his
sending
bags.
a fucking 8-year-old off in a taxi by himself.
But he's got the dog. He's got Ebas.
With the dog.
It's the 80s, Caitlin. Stop. It's a different time.
I know, but and that's what I put. I was like, the 80s were wild. I put the 80s were a different time. But
also,
I was just like, God
serial
damn.
killers were more prevalent back then. So I don't know where it makes sense. But yeah.
Well, it's because people allowed people to do stupid shit like this. And then they would just wander off and then get murdered.
It's true. And that's why we stopped allowing kids to go alone in taxis.
Yes.
So there's that. Yeah, he's leaving. He's going to grandma's.
So
Ebas goes with
funny.
him. And then that's whenever we do have Dr. Lesh. She's leaving. She's going to take the tapes and the watches and all the stuff with her. She explained, she was like, oh, one watch is from like 100 years ago and one watch is just from a few years ago. And so she's going to try to make sense of it all.
Which
and,
was probably all them dead people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she's going to investigate, and she said she's going to leave Ryan. Marty won't return.
Marty
and that
will not be coming back.
She will be coming back, and she will be back with help.
Yes.
And she tells her mom just to not worry and that it'll be okay. And I'm then thinking in my head already, like, how long has this fucking been?
I know,
Yeah.
because I was thinking, like, how long has
Like
Carol
2
Ann
days,
been missing?
but then I'm like feeling like this has been like 2 weeks. And
I know.
so, yeah,
For them to know all the timing of everything, but I guess if it's happening every like 5 minutes or so,
true.
that they can get
because
really
then-
accustomed.
Because also to add in, I'm like, how long has it been? His boss shows up.
Yeah.
And then his boss is just like, oh, so you haven't been to work. How you feeling? And he, Steve's like, oh, I've had a flu. But obviously the boss, he's like, all the TV stuff and the recording
It's
equipment.
like, what are you doing? You up to like selling other things,
Yeah.
basically?
And then the piano moves and the dad is like, has to usher him outside. And then we got that, like, the light bulb going bright on him.
Yeah.
But
I love the way
essentially,
he like gets him to avoid the piano
yeah.
just perfectly. That was really
comedic
good.
timing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. It was like, whoop.
Yeah.
Don't look at that.
And we do have then the boss talking to him outside, and essentially the boss is feeling like, Steve is gonna find a new job. He wants to move, and he's not happy where he's at. And so he's like, let's go for a little run. Let me show you something. Which I was like, what are you trying to show this man?
Yeah.
And so they end up, then the mom's, back inside, and I love how she's like, I guess coming out the shower or something, and she's like gonna try to talk to Carol Ann at the door. And then that's whenever she tries to open the door, and it's just like,
Yeah. It was so quiet, and then that shrieking as she opened, it was so intense.
and she's just like, I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to open it.
I was like, why are you apologizing to the poltergeist? And so that's whenever
It kind of got me because I was in the middle of
Yeah.
typing my notes
And then I was like,
too.
whoa,
Then I was
what
all
the
of a sudden like, oh, I was like, God damn it.
God. And I love this part too, because we have the boss talking to the dad. And we
And
get a
it's
lot of
very
information here.
important
Yeah.
area.
Because of course he's gonna go show him something, and then which it seemed very fucking far from where we're down yonder. But he's like asking him about Carol Ann. He was like, wasn't one of your children born in this house? And he was like, yeah, Carol Ann. And I'm like, well, no wonder she's got like, a super
Extra
connection.
to
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And the boss is just grilling him essentially with all these questions. And then is trying to persuade him, because he's like, takes him up to the mountaintop and is like, this could all be yours if you
Yeah.
stick with us. And I'm sorry we didn't promote you 3 years ago, but
Sorry we
don't
didn't
leave.
recognize your worth sooner.
Yeah,
But
essentially.
now that you've earned us like 78% of this goddamn company.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now you know his fucking worth.
And
Ugh.
we see that where he's showing him is literally a fucking burial ground.
Yep.
A cemetery. And then he's
Backs
like,
up
whoa.
right to a cemetery.
He's like, this is a fucking cemetery. And he's like, no problem. We'll relocate it.
We've made arrangements already.
We've
done it before.
And I love how he makes a joke too. He's like, at least it's not an ancient burial ground.
Yep.
And then
Just people. It's just people.
Just people. And then he was like you said, we've done it before. And then that's when the Stephen puts 2 and 2 together, and he's like, wait, when did you do this before?
Verde.
Yeah, Cuesta Verde.
Cuesta Verde.
In 1976, they relocated all the graves that
all
were
300 acres in Cuesta Verde.
Yeah, that's a big
Is
ass
that how you say it?
graveyard.
Cuesta.
I probably
I don't know.
Cuesta Verde.
Cuesta Verde.
Yeah, if you see, yeah.
I don't speak
Cuesta.
Spanish. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Cuesta.
And so that's whenever, literally, they had dead people underneath all of these houses,
Yep.
and they are quote unquote relocated. Quote unquote.
Yikes.
But we do cut to then
Little lady is what I call her.
They bring in this little short thing. That's what I wrote down.
I put little lady coming in.
Little lady, she's so cute. And I know I've seen her before. And I've seen references to this character.
Yeah, because she's one of a very iconic part of this movie as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. And at first, I won't lie, I was kind of like, okay, that voice, like this little person, not little person. I'm sorry. Ooh, like she's just a little, hokey and tiny. And I'm just like, why is she half everybody's size?
Yeah.
And like, I feel like it just was kind of like, more comedy. Yeah. Almost. But man, when I tell you, she ate this role up.
She did.
Like by the time we got to the end part of it, I was like,
Academy Award.
I fucks with her. I do.
Here you go.
Because she made me believe.
Yeah.
She made me believe. I love it. And
she was good.
She's in there. And like you said, I don't really feel like we get a name.
I love whenever she walks in, she goes, do you mind hanging back? You're jamming my frequencies.
Yeah. I love it.
I'm going to start telling that to people. Go away. You're jamming my frequencies.
Stay back. And so that's whenever Dr. Lesh is explaining that, she's cleaned many houses and she's trying to, make Steven feel confident in her coming in. And she's asking questions upstairs, like, why is this door locked? And I love how she comes out and she's like, because Steven's not talking back to her. And then
he's trying to answer her in his
mind. And then that's whenever she's like, I am addressing the living. And that's whenever Miss Lesh is like, we believe the bedroom is the heart of the house. And she's like, this house has many hearts. And I love she's like still, I think, waiting on an answer. And then, the dad then explains to them, he was like, I was trying to answer her in my brain. She's not real. And then she responds to him. She's like, I am. And like, I just don't like trick questions or trick answers.
Like trick answers.
Yeah.
And then she reaches out and gestures towards Diane. Says, come here, sweetie, and give me your hand. She says, I'm not going to bite you.
Yeah. And so that's
Tangina. I do have her name right here.
Okay. Tangina.
But that was the first time I got it.
And she's basically telling her like, look, I'm going to do what I can to help you out. But if there does come a time that I ask you to do something that goes against your Christian beliefs, you better do it.
Yeah.
And you listen to me, and I'm like kind of in charge now.
Yeah. Because she says your daughter is alive and in this house. And then she says, like, where was the incident of the last bilocation? And they explain that to her as well, too. And then she goes on to say, there's no death. There's only a transition to another plane. And she's a living presence, basically, in this spiritual plane. And that is what attracts them to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, all the ghosts are like,
they want her life force. And well, more so, not necessarily to suck it, because that was kind of giving more Insidious vibes, how they want the people's life force to like take their spot.
But she's the closest thing to life that they can get now.
For them, it's more of like a distraction to the actual light that they're supposed to be going to, because obviously her light is brighter than the afterlife,
And these are all souls, she explains, that are not aware that they passed. And they're basically in this perpetual dreamscape. And she says, inside the spectral light is salvation, a window to the next plane. Carol Ann can help them cross over. She's basically explaining that. Says but then she goes on to say,
because she's like, she has to get on her knees and be like, get ready for this one.
Hold on to your butts.
For real, because she's like, there's a terrible presence in there with her. Something is hovering over this house. It's a very strong presence. It's rageful. And it is lying to Carol Ann and using her.
Saying only things a child could understand.
And she thinks it seems to be a child to her, but it's not. It's a beast.
To us.
And basically, it's like the very dun, dun, dun
I love
moment.
this part. Whenever she goes, now let's go get your daughter.
Yeah.
I was like,
her delivery is really good.
I was like almost jumping.
Yeah.
I was like, that's right. We're going to go get Carol Ann.
Yeah. And very hype.
Let's get her.
And so that's whenever she is telling the mom, call to her. And that's whenever she's,
and we see them setting up all the tennis balls, rope, TV, bath
all the things
water.
they're going to need. Yeah.
I was like, tennis balls, bath water, what? That's so bizarre.
And she's telling them to call out to Carol Ann. And that's whenever it's not really working for the mom because she's being restrained. And so she tells the dad, like, be stern and like tell her you're going to spank her.
Who is she more threatened by?
Yeah, she's not going to come to you. And apparently they don't really have to discipline too much. So it's awkward and weird for him to be like, I'm going to spank you.
You're going to get a spanking.
It does work though, because she's calling back to them.
Because they got an answer.
And they're able to open the door.
Yep. And they say, ask if she sees a light. And then this is when she says, tell her to go to the light. And
Yeah.
mom's like, what? Absolutely not.
Because she's not supposed to go to the light.
She's going to die. And she was like,
Literally.
tell her you're in the light.
And then that's whenever she looks at Dr. Lesh too, because she's just like, is this okay? And she's like, tell her. And then she's just like, run.
She's like, I hate you for this.
She's like, run to the light. And so she's like, then Miss, what's her face is telling her, Miss Tangina is telling her, you know, it knows what scares you.
Clear
I'm sorry,
your
yeah,
minds.
this is when they open the door and they go
Yeah.
into the room. And then there's just lights flashing from the closet. It looks like
Which
very,
this movie should come with a strobe warning.
yeah, very
Like,
ravish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of scenes in this film are
Because
just
the lightning
very-
and stuff. And
Yeah.
so we do have them getting in there, and she yells at Ryan to wait downstairs. And then she tells Steven to get the tennis balls marked 1 and 2. And that's whenever I love how she throws that first tennis ball in there, and it's just like,
Yeah.
and it comes through the other side downstairs,
But
through that
covered
portal.
in gunk. I was calling it
afterlife.
afterbirth.
After birth.
Oh,
It's after death.
I know, but like, you know,
Right?
afterbirth, after
Like
you
placenta?
give birth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was calling it.
It does look like that.
And I
It looks more
wondered
like
if they
jelly.
were reborn into this plane, though.
I don't know.
It did look like jelly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I was like, that's some like rhubarb jam on them.
Yeah, I feel like they were
Not quite strawberry, a little
very
orangey.
much like in this other world or plane that they were in. It doesn't. It's like
they just
very,
got poo-pooed out.
Yeah, it's very. It seems like maybe they were like in like some gunk or some
That
like
thing turned into like it almost
something that
looked like
was
a throat
viscous.
later. Whenever at
Oh,
the
yeah.
very end, it kind of looks
like a beast,
throat.
almost like a whole entity.
Yeah, so maybe they just came out as butthole.
Mm-hmm. And so they are going in. She's throwing in that. Oh yeah, the ball. It came out the other side, and even Ryan's like, I got it. And so then they throw in the second one, and it also comes down. And so I guess that was just test 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
to make sure it was safe to go in, basically.
And then she ends up throwing the rope, and the rope comes in through the other side as well. And you know, it's all fucking gross and whatever.
And at that point too, they're also saying, tell Carol Ann
That's right.
to not go into the light now.
Yeah.
Tell her to stop. She's
Yeah,
getting too close.
she's
She's
close
right
enough.
at the portal or
Yeah.
the entrance way of it. Basically, tell her to stop.
Mm-hmm. And so they get that rope in. It comes out the other side. She's yelling at Ryan to take up the slack at the other side, and he does so. And we do see all that gunk on the rope as well. And
Yeah.
then that's whenever she's like, you know what? I'm gonna go in there after her. But then I love how Diane's like, you're what? And she's like, I'm gonna go and get her. And then she's like, but you've never done this before. And she's like, you're right. You go.
Yeah, because that it was so funny.
It was hilarious. Yeah.
Because Tangina said, "You've never done this before," and she was like, "Well, neither of you."
Yeah.
And she was like, "You're right. You go. Yeah."
Yeah.
That's
I thought
on
it was
you.
hilarious.
It was so funny.
She's like, all right, you know what? Better yet, you risk your life.
You're right.
And so she does. The mom ends up getting, straddled, roped around her.
Get a nice emotional kiss scene between the parents.
And I love how even Dr. Lesh was just like, and then she like comes in the room. She's like, I want a piece of this.
Yeah,
and
she's
then,
like, "Let me in on it."
for real. And then Tangina has to be like, no, you go downstairs and help Ryan. And
You can't kiss her right now.
pull the cord, pull onto the rope. And
It was
so
funny.
we do
It was
have
also,
her.
I was like, I know y'all love each other and stuff, but like
this is
also
serious.
Carol Ann's
Yeah.
life is ticking away. Like we need to
Mhm.
come on, we need to get to her.
And so she ends up going in finally. And then that's whenever we do have Dr. Lesh and Ryan are downstairs. They're holding on to the rope. Everybody's in position. Steven's holding on to his end. She's in there. And then we do have kind of
and she
Tangina.
said, "Steven, don't let go," and he said, "Never." And I was like, "Yeah, that's what Rose said too."
Yeah. Well, and obviously he does let go.
Yeah.
And so Tangina backs up, and he's just kind of looking at her like, what now? And that's whenever she says, go, children, cross over into the light. And he's like, no, what are
Look
you
at
doing?
what?
We said not cross. Like, obviously, Tangina knows what she's doing,
Yeah.
but he's just
She's
being
talking
stupid.
to the other children.
Yeah.
Not your
Not
child.
your child. And so because this is happening, he's just like, no, what? He's like he's pulling onto the rope to try
Pulls
to
the
like
rope out too quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's like, not yet. And as soon as he does that, a demon face, like
Pulls
big
out a
old monster comes out,
like a big old skull face.
just starts kind of like roaring at him, and then he lets go of the rope. And at this point, I thought, fuck, they're
I was
stuck
like,
in there.
they're dead.
Because obviously the runtime, I was like, oh shit, well, we're gonna have to figure out now how to get both of them out.
Yeah.
But They both end up coming out, thankfully, from the other side, all covered in gunk. They're so like looking, and then we have to like rush and get them into the bath water, get them cleaned up.
Ectoplasm is probably what it is.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as they were being carried, they looked like fake bodies, didn't they?
It was, yeah. Well? Whenever they were on the ground too, especially, it was very.
They looked too small.
Mm-hmm.
Too small. Yeah.
I got that.
But then they both wake up though. They get him into the tub, and we get another flash to him, and it's definitely them now.
Yeah,
Not the fake
all
little
gross looking.
You know, like those grow a boyfriend things, or grow a girlfriend. It's like those little like squishy, like they kind of look like little poo poos, and you put it into the thing, and then it grows into like a boyfriend.
I've never heard of that.
Okay,
but
they're
okay.
a real
Are
thing.
you talking about the
picture.
like, or like dinosaurs in little capsule shells, and then it would like turn into a sponge dinosaur when you put it in the water? Activated?
Yeah, but it wasn't like
a sponge.
The boyfriends weren't sponge, but they were like this weird like material. I remember there was this like baby doll that they had in the school that I was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And you would feed it, and it would poop, and it looked like the little poop that the baby would poop out.
I've never seen it.
Anyways,
Mattel didn't get me with that one, or whoever in Hasbro. But we do have him waking them up. Mom comes to as he's kind of cleaning her up, and it's gross because he like starts kissing her with like the gunk on her, and then little Carly Rae Jepsen wakes up. Carol Ann. Carol Ann's like, "Hi, Daddy," and then we have this little cute moment because the investigators all kind of let them have their moment. They're kissing, and I love how Tangina, she's like, "This house is clean,"
and she posed
with the little pose
for that shot. She took off her glasses. She fixed her hair.
Yeah.
This house is clean.
And so now we cut to, it's the next day. They're moving. Thank God. He's getting stuff in boxes, getting packed.
Should.
Yeah. Diane and Steven are kind of talking up front about, how she's feeling. Her hair turned gray.
I like her new gray hair.
I do too. I thought it was very rogue.
I was like, yes. I was wondering if it actually did, like them going in there, if it took off years of their life.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think that would happen.
I think it could, because they went into a like dimensional plane that was closer to death. I could see it happening. I could.
Okay, I can see that. Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like I'm not saying this is what happened.
Gotcha.
But like that's just a theory that I have in my brain, and that's why she aged.
I think my theory is like the experience of going through
stress.
Like the ectoplasmic field and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Maybe she'll have powers. Yeah.
She can shoot ectoplasm from her fingers.
From her pussy.
From her boobies.
Oh, sorry. And then that's whenever we do have him telling her.
Her boobies looked really good though.
Oh.
Actually in this scene.
I didn't really notice.
Yeah. They were nice and perky. I was like, wow.
You know
you're
what?
Really rocking that shirt.
You noticed her boobies. What I did notice, and about 15 minutes later or 20 minutes later, is the dad's butt. Whenever he was trying to get into the car and he can't swim in with the jeans, he had a nice butt.
He did have a nice butt.
And those jeans. Mm-hmm.
Working him in them jeans.
And so we have him telling her she's going to go to the office. He's just going to be there for a little bit, grab a few things. He might see the boss. He's going to tell him to suck it,
Let the kids sleep, though, if they get tired.
Yep. And so yada, yada. Cut to, he's leaving. They go inside.
Her hair.
She's trying to dye her hair. And then also too, the way she goes and tells the kids, like, y'all put yourselves to bed, tuck yourselves in, answer the phone. Mommy's going to be in the bath for a while. And I'm like I said earlier, like we just went through all this. I would not.
I know Tangina said the house is clean, but I would still be a little skeptical.
Yeah. And also I wouldn't, like, we're obviously moving, like rent a hotel room for a day. And just like let the movers pack that shit up and I'm done. Like after everything we went through, I wouldn't spend now another night in there.
No, there's no way I'd be spending
because why are you even moving if you think it's safe now?
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So, because like ethically, like more like no, you already made the money. Like,
because they don't know that it's still technically also on top of. They don't know
the graves.
That yet.
The people are still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's whenever we do have her running the bath. At this point, the kids are putting themselves to sleep, and then Robbie like is having a hard time again with the clown. Which again, why do we have him?
I didn't understand why they kept the clown
on, and why do we have him sitting on a chair facing you? If you obviously are afraid of him, put them in the closet. But maybe they're afraid of the closet. I don't know. And so the closet was obviously a place of contention.
Yeah.
And so we do have her in the bath. I thought honestly something was going to happen to her. because of like the way they were setting it up, and it was just lingering on her for forever.
Very,
but I guess it just gave like
Freddy Krueger
Yeah, but I guess because it's an 80s film, we just have to have a woman
in a bath.
Almost
Burning
naked.
her skin off too. There's so much steam from that tub. I was like, girl, that is not good for your skin.
And so we do have the kid asleep, Mr. Robbie, but he wakes up because we hear like something sliding across the room, and he looks across the room and the clown is not on the chair.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, already off the bat,
because
he's looking around the room, and we're anticipating like the clown to be like under the bed or somewhere else because he's about to look under the bed, but as soon as he pops back up, that clown is behind him
and it starts choking him.
Yeah, like wrapping a long arm around him, and then it like takes him under the bed.
Terrifying.
Yeah. I thought he was about to go to like a whole nother dimension again, but it just has him under the bed.
Like that one Disney film, Don't Look Under the Bed.
Yep.
I loved
with
that
the boogeyman.
one. Yeah.
But it turned out to be an imaginary friend that she did not talk to anymore.
Yeah.
So sad.
Did you ever have an imaginary friend?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I did.
I
scared a babysitter off once.
Oh, really? Because of your imaginary friend? No, I didn't.
My mom
Maybe I don't remember. Maybe
I
did, and I just don't remember. But I don't.
My mom thinks it was her father because his name was Tommy or Tom, and my imaginary friend's name was Tommy.
Could have been.
Yeah, I think it probably was.
Shout out to Gramps.
Yeah, I never met him.
And then that's whenever we do have. Obviously, he's screaming. The mom hears. Because at this point she's already out of the tub and she's in her bedroom blow drying her hair, but she does hear him screaming. And then that's whenever she starts getting attacked by the beast, unseen entity.
It like pulls her shirt up, but then it starts pulling her up along the walls, the ceiling.
Freddy Krueger, all the way across.
It looked so cool. Yeah, very Freddy Krueger.
Actually, what came out first?
I
don't remember Freddy Krueger's year.
I don't remember.
I'm sure this came out first.
When did Nightmare on Elm Street come out?
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, I
84.
think this was first. Yeah, 82. So this came out first. So Nightmare on Elm Street took it from them.
And so that's whenever we do have, only 2 years later too, people, there could have been getting filmed at the same time, so
that's
not
true.
One kind of knew like whose idea was original, but anyways, I digress. And so we do have, hers was also different too because she got like gutted. Yeah. But we do have her getting.
It was a cool scene in both films.
Yeah, very much so. And she's getting, dragged across the ceiling. She's getting, all the way to the other side of the wall as little Robbie is getting attacked. She finally gets kind of put down, but she's still being held, essentially restrained a bit, but she fights through it.
Yeah.
And she's able to get to the bedroom.
And Robbie's also fighting through it because now he's choking the clown.
Oh, that's true.
Was like, and he's
like, I'm tired of you.
Yeah.
And he starts attacking it. And she gets kicked out of her bedroom essentially. And then she's like trying to get to them, but she ends up like falling down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then she gets zapped like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, all of the doorknobs have electricity going through them, and it's just like she can't get to them. She touches basically the house is like just wired with electricity, any metal surface, because she falls down the stairs, touches the stair rail. And that shocks her as well.
And the closet is using at this point. It looks like
the closet has like ectoplasm coming out and stuff. And
it looked like that stuff that you like put on things and then it sponges up and it looks like puffy looking.
Oh yeah. Like insulation.
Yeah.
The spray kind. Foamy kind.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And so that's all around the door, and like she's also dealing with all of that electroshocks that's happening to her, and then she runs outside for a brief moment and is able to scream. Right?
Yeah. And
like at the neighbors?
Well, before that, I guess before she even fell down the stairs.
Oh, sorry, the skeleton.
So she tries to open the door, and then this monster comes out. Yeah, a skeleton spirit. It looked like a mixture between Falkor and then the things that lived underground from H.G. Wells' Time Machine, the film.
Gotcha.
I was like, that's if Falkor and those monsters
mash
had
up.
A baby.
Yep. And that's how she falls down the stairs. My bad.
Yeah.
Because it's like, and she goes down.
But yeah, she does go outside. You're right, though. After that.
Yeah, and she's screaming bloody murder.
Thankfully.
Through a storm. So I'm surprised how anybody heard her.
Yeah.
But
well,
she ends up.
but she was screaming so loud.
And then there's a lot of commotion happening as well. She ends up falling in the pool.
Yep, she slips into the pool.
Which is her fear.
And this is one of the reasons that people suspect this is a cursed film.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because they use real skeletons.
They use real human skeletons.
Where do you get real human skeletons? That's so crazy.
Just like biology labs, apparently.
Oh, okay.
And so it's the cheaper option than having somebody mold like skeletons,
Real
especially
skeletons.
back in the day and
Gotcha.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this was the cheaper option. So they were like, yeah, of course we're using real dead people and people whose bodies were donated to science. I mean, yeah.
But if they were donated
my
already.
corpse
But yeah, I get it.
do it. Use it in a horror film.
I wouldn't haunt.
And just credit me.
There you go.
Corpse number 1.
I doubt they got credit. And so
Skeleton
she's
1.
getting attacked. Well, not even attacked. Just these skeletons are popping up around her and she's freaking out. And then a coffin comes up out of the ground.
The way that I was like, why is this bitch buried perpendicularly? Like she just, all of them were just like, they just come out.
Just like coming up. Yeah, they're like popping up. And so that's whenever the mom is just going through it. She's screaming. She's trying to get out, but she can't. She falls. She's almost out.
She takes a slip and slide into the dead
right
bodies.
back into them again. And then she finally finds a root and she's trying to climb, or not a root. Sorry, it was like a pump. Like a
I think it was like hose or something.
And she starts climbs
it
up that. And as soon as she gets to the top, the neighbors are finally here and he helps her get out. And so then we see and hear that Robbie is screaming from up in the bedroom, and the neighbor's like, what kind of sound is that? Why are they screaming like that?
Bitch, just help me.
And they won't go in the house with her.
They won't.
No, fucking neighbors.
And Diana's acting here as she runs up the stairs saying, get away from my babies. So good. It was so believable. It was like a guttural like scream coming from her. Like she was going full mom mode.
Yeah, Mama Bear.
Yeah, she was ready to do it. And then this hallway stretching scene.
Really
so
cool. I liked it too.
And she turns into a runner. She a track star.
Yeah, she does.
Goes down.
And I like how it's filmed, and we kind of get this real, following behind her, and we finally get to the bedroom. She's able to get it open, but it's like starts going sideways because it's like vortex happening again with the closet.
Like sucked in.
And she's holding herself with the door frame, and the kids, little Carol Ann is holding herself from the bed frame again.
Which
and
is
then
magically fixed.
Mr. Little Robbie is hanging on from like a blanket essentially for the most part. And so that blanket was fucking tucked in so well.
Yep.
And so the mom is trying to tell Robbie to take her hand, and it's all a commotion. It takes a minute, but he's able to get to her.
They make a little human chain.
Exactly, because they all tether up together, and she's able to pull them out.
Yep.
Because she is a mom, and that's what moms do.
She got that
adrenaline
lift a car off a baby.
And at the same time, there was like this vine thing coming out of the vortex.
Yeah, it was like a little thrusty. Yeah. And
they get out, but as soon as this is all happening, the dad finally shows up, and he's like, "Whoa!" And the boss just happens to show up too.
Yeah, I think he dropped him off there.
Oh, that makes sense.
Boss man sees it now, and then this is where
he's yelling at him because he's like, because
the coffins have like come up through the soil. They're coming up through the foundation of the house.
Because he's trying to get through the front door, but he can't. And like all this shit is happening. And then that's when he runs into the boss, and he's like, "You only moved the headstones and you didn't move the bodies. Why?"
Exactly. And he's just yelling at him, as he should.
Yeah. And so he's letting him have it.
Lies.
We have him trying to get to
He's fumbling with these keys.
Family. Oh, yeah. Because they try to get into the car, and he is fumbling. And
I was like, all of them were like, come on.
Yeah,
it was such a
and
high
just screaming. Yeah, even I felt it.
Yeah, I was like, fucking get the keys.
And he's just fumbling, and he finally gets the key in, and they're able to back up and leave. He backs up into the truck behind him, boss's truck, I think.
Yeah.
Or someone's truck.
Yeah, I think so.
And then finally, I love how this, like, everything's going haywire in the street. The whole neighborhood at this point is just like
it was like the
undone,
fire hydrants
erupting
down the road were going off, stuff all the way down. It was like following them.
And then
almost.
this is when sister comes home.
Oh my God.
And she's just like, what is happening?
Which
And
that
screaming.
initial scream was good.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, that's some Scream Queen moment.
But then she just keeps going.
And I was like, girl, get in the fucking car.
Get the grip. Yeah, because she's just standing there and they're trying to like get her in. And
I think Robbie even says like, just drive. And I was like,
Leave her.
just fucking leave her.
And so
Fuck this bitch.
for real, they get in, she gets in, and they're taking off, and he's telling them, don't look back. And this whole town is just basically going to shit. And then the house starts getting sucked up into this like vortex in the middle of the air. Well, and the boss is just kind of watching it all happen. And the whole neighborhood is coming, and they're all watching it all happen as the rest of the whole neighborhood is just kind of turning to shit.
It was pretty cool. I like how it got sucked into that little ball of energy, basically, and then just goes like, boop.
Yeah. And then, you know,
and
palms
now the boss
in the
man
face.
feels kind of bad.
He's kind of ashamed a little bit, you can tell. And that's when we do have like they're at the Holiday Inn now.
They make it to the Holiday Inn,
and they're hotel motel. And
I love this ending.
I know, because they get into the room, and then we just see him close the door, Steve, and then he opens it back up and pushes the TV out.
Yeah. And then it just pans out, and it's such a nice, clean, simple ending.
Well, and I like how even there was lights reflecting from like, I guess lights, but it looked kind of like the orbs, you know, flowing out on the reflection of the glass. And then that's the ending.
It is such a fun movie. Now, to talk a little bit about why this is a cursed film. So, as many of you probably know, but Dominique Dunne, who played Dana, 5 months following the film's June release and the death. So basically she was murdered when she was 22 years old by by a boyfriend at the time, who basically strangled her to death. And she was put into a coma and then passed away a few days later. And then of course there's also the death of Heather O'Rourke when she was 12 years old during the filming of Poltergeist 3 due to complications from an undetected bowel obstruction. They were not the only two deaths on the film, though. There was also, within the series, there's also, in one of the films, there's this like cult leader kind of guy who comes along. He died from something, I think stomach cancer. And then there's another guy who also died from and he was pretty young too. And so it was just like, ooh, why are all these people, just dying? And then as well as like, I think people just there were just a bunch of different like little incidents that kept happening on the set that made it really feel like a cursed film. The cursed film documentary on Shudder is it's like a series. So they're like 30-minute episodes, and they have one like over The Exorcist. I think I mentioned it in our first episode. They also have one over The Crow, which is one of my favorites.
I've never seen that.
We should watch that sometime. I used to paint my brother's faces like The Crow. Yeah, I would be like, sit down, I'm painting your face.
That's funny.
But yeah, they have a lot of really cool information on there. And then this one went in a little bit more into kind of the like collecting objects and what like they're kind of really leading into like the haunting of things and what makes something cursed. But it was really cool. And yeah, and a lot of the speculation comes from it being that that they use real human skeletons and stuff.
So that's what set it off.
Yeah. But it being a curse does kind of take away from the fact and the tragedy that, you know, multiple people, but I guess the ones most people know, it takes away from the two very real lives that were taken and affected by, you know, this. And there are real families who are grieving and stuff. And to kind of cheapen it with a curse, it feels like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel quite right.
Negate the like how heavy it actually is.
Yeah, I'm sure it takes away from the people, but it is like just a very natural way that brains
we think about that. Yeah, if all these things happen to the same people from the same thing, it's like,
have to connect it somehow.
Something's going on there.
Otherwise, something's wrong. Yeah, and so it's just a very natural way that humans rationalize things. But I did want to just note that, you know, that maybe it's not because of the curse,
Mm-hmm.
but it is fun to think about the
That's
film
crazy.
as being a cursed film. I mean, The Omen, I'm fascinated by all of it, obviously. I'd already watched all of these cursed films. I'm just going back to the documentaries. I'm just
to like
going
get
back
more
and
information
rewatching
on there.
it. Yeah, because it's fun.
Shout out to Shudder.
Yep, shout out to Shudder. But boo time?
Yes, boo time.
Boo time.
Bum, ba-dum, ba-bum, bum. I would have to give this film such a long movie, by the way.
It is
It's
really
very
long.
2
It's
hours.
an hour
154.
and 54.
Hour and 54.
Yeah. I know we've been picking back to back to back long movies, and I'm like, where's the hour and 30-minute one?
Yeah. I'm kind of... I
am super curious to hear what you
think,
rate
well,
it.
because I'm still processing. I literally finished watching this 10 minutes before
You
coming
pulled a
into
Caitlin.
coming into record. So it's like I still even have to like process what I watched.
Yeah.
You know what? I do like it.
Yeah.
I do like it. It's not
Good.
that it's bad.
I'm
so
glad that you like
I
it.
just don't know like how much I like it.
Yeah.
But I'd say I would give it like a solid like 3.8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Close to a 4.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I liked how the story was told. It maybe some things could have come out to it's like an hour and like 40.
Yeah.
You know, not
they could have
pushing
cut some
the 2.
scenes.
But for the most part, it all made sense. Like
Yeah.
everything was pretty much there, you know, to make sense. I think my favorite character was Tangina,
Yeah.
and I really
That
liked
could be a
Dr.
drag
I
name.
actually really liked Dr. Lush as well. I
Yeah, I
thought she
did
was a
too.
cool character.
Yeah.
She was very like
They did a good job of humanizing her
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
She felt very like
warm.
Yeah. I wanted to talk
and
to her.
in a time when the family is going through all of this turmoil.
Yeah.
And so I did like the only thing, I guess it's an 80s movie, so like some of the effects weren't that like super great.
Yeah,
but,
they
like,
didn't
you
age
know,
super well. But
not
for
at
the
all.
time,
But for the,
super cool.
and so there's that. But all in all, I wasn't thinking like they all did a good job also in acting. I feel like everybody did a pretty significantly good job that like I was in the moment of everything happening. So it was all pretty believable. And I think that's why I liked it, because I kind of went in with it already thinking like, okay, it's an old 80s film. I'm ready for the cheese. I'm ready for me to be like, huh, that's laughable.
Yeah.
Like nobody, like nowadays I'm like, oh yeah, that's very dated or something.
Yeah.
But it all pretty much
Held
worked.
up.
It held up.
Yeah,
It was, I liked the whole scene. I think my favorite scenes were the Tangina scene and them having that whole like and everything happening.
Yeah.
And then just like a few different scenes throughout the whole thing. I honestly thought going into it that the clown was going to have a bigger role, because I know that I see that everywhere.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's it.
Nope. And it's in like the last little bit. And
Yeah.
same with the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I give it 3.8.
Awesome.
A 3.8. Solid 3.8 for Poltergeist.
I think I give it a 4.5.
Mm.
I have always really enjoyed this film. And it, even though it is basically 2 hours long, it is still pretty easy to get through. And I have to applaud it for it's really kind of an unprecedented idea. There wasn't much like it before this, not in this regard anyways.
Yeah, like a home haunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
didn't have
obviously there's
Paranormal
like the
Activity 1 through 4,
Exorcist,
yeah.
and
But
stuff.
that's different.
But
that's
it is
a haunting of a
It's-
little girl that's like a demon possession.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
different.
It's very different.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think I appreciated it so much.
Yeah.
And then still, even to this day, I feel like there's things that just aren't on the same level. Like I feel like it's really held its own.
Well, especially because, like I said at the beginning, every movie now that I've seen, it's a fucking copy.
Yes, exactly. And so
Conjuring,
this one,
Insidious.
yep.
Fucking, they switched it up a little bit, but it's a fucking copy.
It
Same
is.
story, just
Yep.
switched up the family and, you know, tell it a little different. Put your own salt and pepper on it.
Yeah.
But same thing. So I'm like, wow, this was already
It
done.
really did inspire
Mhm.
so many films. And
Mhm.
it's really just, it's incredible. I mean, everyone, like we said earlier, everyone knows that they're here.
Yeah.
Everyone
The
knows
TV, the little
TV.
girl, like
when
Heather
we saw
over
that TV in the, place. I mean, obviously I like Poltergeist, but even my friend who is with me, who's not a horror
like a big
film,
horror fan, yeah.
she knew
Knows
exactly
that
that
It's
was
like people know
Poltergeist.
Freddy, people know Jason, people know, Michael.
Exactly.
So it's one
Yeah.
of those things,
And so it's just really, really incredible. I like this film quite a bit, and I was very happy to get to share it with you.
I
and
love that
you got to watch it, and that you enjoyed it as well. I was worried. I was like, oh, I hope Josh likes this and doesn't.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
doesn't hate it, and so good. I'm glad.
I'm not mad at it.
I'm glad that you liked it. We also had a listener.
We do have a listener.
Talk in.
Had kind of a story-ish to go with it.
Yeah.
One, she gave it 4 boos out of 5.
4 out of 5, yes.
And her anecdote from it is basically that her and her dad took her and her sister to see it in the theaters when she was younger, when she would have been 8 or 9, around that. And her sister had a very violent reaction to the chicken maggot scene because they were watching it in there. And obviously shout out, kudos to her pops actually for taking them to scary movies and that too. He sounds like the fun dad.
Yeah.
And she sees the chicken maggot situation happening, and poor thing is hiding behind the seat, trying not to see the horror in front of her eyes, and then just vomits.
Yep.
Which I can and
this is the sister, not the listener.
Yeah, this is not the listener, but her sister. And I mean,
it was pretty gross.
When you're that young too, and you're probably already scared from all the other stuff that was already happening, so at this point it's just like an escalation.
Yeah, all the adrenaline and stuff in your body just makes you go like, bleh.
I can see that.
And then speaking of listener requests, I also do have one, the one that I said I wanted to talk about on Us.
Us, yeah.
Yes. Not a listener request, but a listener
response.
Review. Response, yeah. So
we're just adding it in.
Yeah. This is from Grais for Jordan Peele's Us. She said, I would give Us a 4 out of 5 boo rating. And she said, it's not like the other horror movies at all. There's so much thought behind every character and their actions are so intentional.
Mm-hmm.
It's different from others because it's less about the jump scare and more about the creepy feeling the audience gets to imagine a copy of everyone in the city living in a reflected world. She said, I also loved how we are not completely sure of what happens at the end. The red line of people is still there, and the son seems to be a little off, making me question if he was the real son or the clone. Overall, this psychological thriller is a must watch.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's from Grais, you said?
That is from Grais.
Shout out Grais. Thank you, Grais.
Yes. I was very excited to cover this film after talking about it with her. And so I'm glad that we got to read
mention her
review. Yeah. So yay. But we've got a 3.8, a 4, and a 4.5.
So that gives it a 4?
Yeah.
We're going to give it a solid 4. 4.1.
4.1. But
from your BooBaes.
As always, we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios.
Mm-hmm.
They always take great care of us. And if you want to listen to us or any of the other wonderful podcasts on this network, you can do so at
roguemedianetwork.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then if you don't want to listen there, you can listen on a slew of podcasting platforms, the biggest 2 being
Stitcher. No, I'm just kidding. Spotify.
I was like, whoa, wait, what? And Apple. But Stitcher is one of them.
Yes, you are.
And then wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. We actually did get another rating. Now, not a review, just a rating on Apple.
Gotcha.
And then our review or our ratings on Spotify have also gone up as well.
That's awesome.
So
thank you guys.
That makes me happy.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. It really does mean the world to us that y'all do
We went from a 1 to a 2. I'm just kidding. They're 5. It's 5s.
But if you want to let us know your listener request and or what
tell us what
you're
watching.
Yeah. You can reach out to us on our one social media platform, which is Instagram.
At BooBaes Podcast, and that's BOOBAES. Because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes.
That's right. And
until next time,
you guys.
Bye, baes.
Bye, baes. Do do beep deep ba boop.
Bop deep bop deep boop deep dop.
I like that. And
this has been a Rogue Media podcast.